2 American soldiers are dead. Another service member is missing, and more than 430 have been wounded in Donald Trump's optional, failing, and expanding war with Iran. The president who promised to end Middle Eastern wars has created another one. That's already a violation of his campaign promises. And we now are getting to the point where not just all Americans are paying the price economically, but American military families are paying the price with death. 2 active duty Army soldiers were killed when Iranian ballistic missiles and drones hit an American airbase in Jordan. 4 additional service members were hospitalized, and a whole bunch of others have minor injuries. As of this exact moment, the names of the dead have not been released because of family notification. Now, Iran carried out this attack. Iran killed these soldiers. Criticizing Trump's decision to start and expand this war does not excuse the Iranian government. But this was a predictable retaliation. Once you start bombing another country, that country is going to try to strike your troops. They're going to try to strike your bases and your allies if they can and if they believe they can get away with it. And Donald Trump has put thousands of Americans through the region into the line of fire, never really explaining what would it look like to win. I know he's got talking points he shifts in and out of, but there's not really a clear vision of what it would mean to win this thing. And these deaths now bring the American toll to 16 service members killed and more than 430 wounded since this all started back on February 28th. Now, this is already a major war. The whole idea of it's a little incursion, Trump thought the word was excursion. His English isn't very good, but by the way, none of his other languages are good either. But the play was like, this is this small thing. This is already a major war. And we now have seen 7 consecutive nights of airstrikes. This is just recently after the supposed ceasefire and the letter and the beautiful deal. It is going beyond military targets. As Donald Trump told us, they have big plans to commit war crimes. They want to target bridges, roads, power infrastructure, water facilities. Iran is retaliating against American bases in neighboring countries. Kuwait says that Iranian attacks struck an oil facility and a power and water desalination plant, led to fires and injuries. Iran has attempted to strike Saudi Arabia. So we have a situation, air raid sirens are going off in Bahrain. So we have a growing war. Jordan saying it shot down 10 Iranian ballistic missiles 2 nights ago. So this is now in the context of Trump last week saying, you might need a little bit of ground troops in there, a ground war. And we have a senior Iranian advisor threatening a full-scale offensive, saying no political border will be safe. This is the cycle maybe Trump didn't understand when he decided to go to war. Maybe Trump didn't care about when deciding to go to war. He attacks Iran. They retaliate. Trump uses the retaliation to justify a larger attack. Iran responds with an even wider attack. And now we've got American soldiers dead. And Trump then goes, well, now we're going to get revenge. And the entire cycle starts over again. Just compare this to Trump's promises during the campaign. He's the only real anti-war president. Hillary was going to start 4 wars. Biden was going to start wars. Kamala was going to start wars if she became president. But it's Trump who started a new war. And the Strait of Hormuz is blockaded again, carries 1/5 of the world's crude oil. Shipping is basically at a standstill. Oil prices going back up. I guess I should take a look at where I should be more prepared. But what's going on with gas prices? Gas prices are now going back up, already up 40 cents from a sort of dip that they made. Now they're up 40 cents again. And so we are like 5 months in, February 28th, and we're getting to the end of July. Yeah, so almost 5 months in. And we really don't have our clear objectives. And by the way, this supposedly ended 40 times. So at this point, is it the strait has to be reopened? Is it that Iran's nuclear program has to be destroyed again for the who knows how many times? Is it real regime change where it's not a family member who takes over in Iran? What are the conditions that would allow Trump to really bring American forces home and end this thing? And the reason there's no clear answer is Trump doesn't have one. If you ask him, he'll go, Iran can never have a nuclear weapon, and now they never will. I guess. I mean, no deal has been signed. The enriched uranium is still geographically in Iran, even if it's not super accessible. But concurrent with that, parallel to that, Trump said he was going to be the anti-war president. And he mocked those who architected Iraq and Afghanistan. And he said, these quagmires in the Middle East, we are going to use our strength to deter our enemies, and we won't have to start any wars, and it won't come at the cost of any American lives. Well, now we've got 16 service members dead, hundreds wounded, one missing. Diplomacy has collapsed. Civilian infrastructure is being targeted. And Iran seems to be getting ready for a regional war. Strength without a real strategy is just reckless. And sending more bombs will not explain how this is going to end. So the escalation is now going to be, it's seemingly inevitable. Trump was warned. There's widespread reporting. Before going in on February 28th, Trump was warned. If you do this, it could be a widening war, a much longer war that, remember, this was a 2 to 3 week war. We're in week 20 something. And it could become completely uncontrollable. One of the things I said after 2 weeks was that it is no longer Trump's war to end. Trump could go, well, now I'm done. But that doesn't mean that Iran is done. And in fact, it's widening. Americans have been killed, and there is no end in sight. Republicans are quickly learning that this is very bad for their chances in November. And even Fox News is starting to hedge and go, well, listen, this isn't exactly the way it was promised to us. And that is what I want to talk about next. One thing I've noticed is when I don't have good food options at home, I end up ordering takeout or making unnecessary trips to the store. Having really good staples on hand makes a huge difference, which is why I like our sponsor, Wild Grain. Wild Grain is the first bake from frozen subscription box for sourdough breads, artisanal pastries, and fresh pastas. Everything arrives frozen and bakes in 25 minutes or less with no thawing required. You will always have good bread at home, hot out of the oven with no work. I especially like the slow fermented artisanal pitas. They come out warm and chewy. They work great for everything from sandwiches to dips. The biggest surprise is how little effort it takes. You keep everything in the freezer, bake what you want, end up with something that tastes like it came from your local bakery. And for a limited time, Wild Grain is offering my audience $30 off your first box, plus free croissants for life when you go to wildgrain.com/Pakman or use the promo code Pakman at checkout. The link is in the description.